Well, welcome to Noel's World of Whiskey, and tonight is Glenfarclas night. This was the one of the tours I did in Scotland, and I brought back from the distillery the 10, and I brought back the 105. Now, when I was in Scotland there, it appears that the 10 you see in the liquor stores over there. I didn't see the 12, I saw the 15, and the 15 is quite popular. I saw it in liquor stores all over Scotland. And you don't see the 17. The 17 is a North American presentation. You see the 21, which of course I have had the 21. Fantastic whiskey. But what we're going to do here tonight is we're going to get into the 10, and then we will move on to the 12, and then we will do the 105. Now, I don't think we're going to get much farther. There is a heat wave going here on Vancouver Island, and I don't think I'll last much longer than those 3 bottles. Interesting thing with this distillery is that a lot of their whiskeys are fully aged in the Oloroso casks, and there is talk of some of their young whiskeys. The 10, I'm not sure, it might be actually aged partially in bourbon and then in the Oloroso. But as you get into the more aged whiskeys, they are definitely 100% Oloroso casks. The casks come from Miguel Martin cooperage in Jerez, Spain. And so without any further ado, let's get into the 10 and let's see what it's all about. So let's give this guy a pour. The 10-year-old, 40%. Some of the reviews say it has a heavier body for a 10. We're going to find out. We know that the Edredor 10 surprised us all. So let's see what the Glenfarclas 10 is like. Now, I don't remember, I don't know why it is, but I just don't remember the 10 as well as I remember the 105 at the tasting, because the 105 is a little bit of a heavy hitter. So anyways, we'll bring it up to you there and let you take a look at it and see what you think of it. Well, we're going to let the 10-year-old sit for 10-15 minutes there. And I do have a short presentation there of the Glenfarclas Distillery, a bit of the tour. And when we're finished that, we will finish on the 10, and then we'll move to the 12, and then of course the 105. I doubt very much if I'm going to get the 15 and the 17 and the 21 done tonight. We'll leave that for down the road. So if you don't want to watch the presentation, just move ahead to the review. We'll see you when you get back.
There were 3 famous Grant families from the Speyside that produced whiskey, and they were not related. James and John Grant licensed Glen Grant Distillery in 1840, and then William Grant founded Glenfiddich in 1886. The 3rd Grant family and the distillery that we are touring is Glenfarclas, which was purchased by the farmer cattle breeder John Grant and his son George in 1865. The distillery had started in 1797 by another farmer, Robert Hay, but wasn't licensed until 1836. The distillery was on the Recleric farm that the Grants had purchased, and cattle breeding was their focus, so they leased the distillery to the famous whiskey maker from Glenlivet, John Smith. By 1870, John Smith had moved on to start up Craigenmore Distillery, so the Grants took over running Glenfarclas. Since then, the Grants have independently run the distillery for 6 generations. The Grants have a tradition of naming their sons either John or George, and it is George who is currently running the business. All the distilleries, including Glenfarclas, produced whiskey for blending and sold to the giant firms like DCL, now known as Diageo. In 1968, DCL informed Glenfarclas they were not purchasing any of their whiskey for their blends. The Grant family had survived tough times before, including the Pattison crisis, the market depressions, and both world wars, so this was nothing new. George S. Grant decided to think beyond the present market and into the future when the market had improved. When other distilleries had slowed down, Glenfarclas kept steady production and warehoused their whiskey. This has paid off, and today they have some of the largest stock of old casks in the industry, now called the family casks. The tour started with the 3 essential ingredients for making whiskey: barley, water, and yeast. After viewing the destoner and the malt mill, we were looking at the massive 16.5-ton semi-loader mash tun with a diameter of 10 meters. The first wash is at 64 degrees Celsius, the second wash is at 78 degrees, and the third is at 80 degrees and recycled into the next mash. After the wort has been cooled down, it goes into the 12 stainless steel 45,000-liter washbacks. The distiller's yeast is added at a ratio of 1%, and fermentation takes 72 hours. This produces an 8% ABV beer ready for the wash still. The 3 wash stills have a capacity of 26,500 liters and are the biggest in the Speyside. Glenfarclas tried out steam heat, but were not happy with the product, so went back to direct firing their stills. The 21,200-liter spirit stills have bulbous reflux bowls to recirculate the spirit and increase the copper contact. This produces a lighter, floral, and fruitier spirit. The heart or the middle cut of the spirit produced is approximately 68% ABV. The heads and tails are recycled for the next distillation. The new spirit is reduced to 63.5% ABV using the spring water from Ben Rinnes before being filled into the casks. The majority of the spirit is aged in fortified sherry casks from Miguel Martin cooperage in Jerez, Spain. Maturation takes place in more than 30 traditional dunnage warehouses on site. The highlight for our group was the opportunity to enjoy the whiskey tastings in the famous ship's room. The interior had been finished in wood panel walls and furniture taken from the Canadian Pacific steamship, the Empress of Australia.
So we'll get right into it. The 10-year-old Glenfarclas from the distillery, the sample. Let's give it the nose. Definitely Glenfarclas. It's got the Glenfarclas nose. My understanding is that this is finished in sherry. I think they're hogsheads. I think they rebuild the hogsheads, but they're from the sherry butts from Miguel Martin in Jerez, Spain. There's definitely sherry in here. I'm quite surprised. This has got for 10 years and 40%, it's got a heck nice nose. So, we've got some honey notes here. We've got very fruity. The sherry's there. I'm going to say some dark fruits. We've got some raisins, apricots, very floral, and maybe a slight bit of cinnamon in the background. Okay, we are going for the palate. Sláinte. Light spice, got the sherry notes, a bit of honey, and I can taste the apricots. I think I my nose got it right, and I taste the cinnamon. The spices are light, but they're there. Maybe even a bit of nutmeg. And I've got a It's not a dry mouth. It's there's nice, very light coating. It's not a heavy coating. It's one of those lighter, maybe good for the type of weather we've got right now. This heat wave. This is probably the perfect dram for this heat wave. I don't think it would be a long finish, but I'm going to work on the development finish here. We're making this a fast one tonight. Okay. Sláinte. You know, for a 10-year-old, this reminds me of another distillery that produces a 40%, but it's not Edredor. It doesn't have the Edredor flavor. It's actually very much like some of the Aberfeldy, but they're not as sherry driven as this is. But it has that mildness to it. It's a lighter spirit, eh? The finish is on the short side. It's, you know, it's a little bit of a thin presentation, but it's a tasty presentation. So when I add water to this, maybe a drop, and that's all it gets. A little spillage here. No problem, it's just water. Let's see what a couple drops of water did. Brings up the floral notes. And I've got some flowers from the flower garden here. And I've got some of the lighter fruits there, the peaches, the pears. That's where I get the Aberfeldy notes. And the raisins are coming through here. And the cinnamon. And you know, it's a pleasant nose. Like I say, in this heat wave, this is the perfect drink. So with water, let's try the palate. Sláinte. I wouldn't add more than a couple drops of water to this, but it's more of the same. It's not bringing me anything different, other than I feel like you'd probably dilute it if you go more than a couple drops of water. What do I think of the 10? It's tasty. Like a lot of the lighter 10s, it might be a good summer dram, but it's not something I would go chase after in your Glenfarclas line. So we're going to go after the 12, and I'll give it a pour. So, 12 Glenfarclas, the nose. Much more of a hit of a nose there than the 10, that's for sure. It's like the 10 amplified. And I'm getting now a bit more darker fruits. You know, dates. And the figs. And the raisins. We do get the floral notes, but we're getting a little bit of the red licorice as well. And I'm getting even some chocolate here. I would would say the spices are more like the nutmeg. Probably me. I'm even getting some ginger notes here. Orange. Orange and ginger. Anyways, let's go for the palate. Sláinte. Again, there's a lot more substance to this, a little more body. Definitely getting more of a coating on my mouth. More sherry presence. And just a slight bit more of a hit. Starting off with the darker fruits again. I'll stay with the dates and the figs, and we're getting definitely the something gingery there. It's a little bit of a hot ginger, and maybe even a little nutmeg there. Darker chocolate, probably more creamy, more of a creamy presentation. And I'm going to say that I'm still not a dry mouth. It's still coating, doing a good job of coating, but it's not a dry coating. I'm going to go for the development and the finish. Sláinte. Now we're getting a little more of the spice and the wood notes. A little, very slight bite to the wood there, and malts coming through. Granola, cereal notes. Now it's more like a fig Newton, or I'm going to say a little bit of the Sultana digestive cookies, even a little bit fruitcake, and I'm still getting the dark chocolate. The finish is going to be definitely longer than the 10, considerably longer than the 10. So this one here, I don't have a lot of fear of adding a couple drops of water, so let's do that. So, with a couple drops of water, let's do the nose. It didn't hurt it, because I'm getting my ginger. I'm still getting the chocolate, but maybe even some tobacco notes here. And I'm going to just make a comment that this nose is just, I just like it more than the 10. It has just more body to it, more substance to it, there's probably more of the oily esters in this presentation. It's 43%, mind you, so it's a little bit more than 40. And it really brings out the malt and the cereal notes. Let's do the palate with water. Sláinte. Nice. Now this is a nice drink for a hot day. The water doesn't hurt it. A couple drops, perfect. Chocolate. It's almost a creamier dark chocolate than I got before the water. And maybe even mocha, a bit of coffee notes mixed in there. The ginger's still there. Maybe even a little bit of licorice starting to show up, the red licorice. A little bit of shortbread. A little bit of a shortbread going on there. Overall, This is a big jump from the 10. I really think it is. And I'm going to say my preference would be the 12 over the 10. Okay, I am not even scoring it yet. So if I was doing the 10, I'd give it in the low 80s. And this here, I would certainly jump it up a couple marks over the 10. So score wise, 81, 82 for the 10, 83, 84 for this guy here. So anyways, where does that take us? I think we could sneak the 105 in now. So let's do the 105. So of course I leave the 105 to the last, and we're making a bit of a jump here because the 105 is getting up to cask strength. And I was hoping on maybe sequencing through the 15 and then the 105, but not tonight. So we're going to go right to the 105. We can do it. And this is a popular, very popular presentation, the 105. It's been around a long time. I think it was one of the first cask strengths to be presented in the marketplace. And it's probably its biggest competition is probably the Aperlour Avenant. Again, sherry comes from sherry butts, or we'll say hogsheads, from Miguel Martin in Jerez, Spain. And let's take a look at this guy. So the 105, my understanding is it was the first real production cask strength whiskey in the marketplace. And it's the old proof measurement, which we don't use anymore. And certainly not as easy to figure out, but this is a 60% ABV. So we're going from 43 to 60%. It's a big jump, but I'm a big boy, I can handle it. So let's try the nose. Oh, wow. So with the 43, we're going to add darker chocolate. Definitely has some tobacco stuff going on. Golly, maybe even a wee bit of, I'm going to say varnish there for a bit. That's what I smelled, varnish. Okay, now we're getting some of the darker fruits. Oh boy, figs, dates, sultanas, and just dried dark fruit. And you are getting a whiff of alcohol. You notice the difference. The sherry is strong here. And my understanding is they do start it off, I think, in bourbon, but it's finished off in sherry. At one time, I think it was just straight sherry, but something tells me that this has got a little bit of bourbon influence. But let's give it the palate, the 105. 60% ABV cask strength Sláinte. Nice. So you got some tartness to it, eh? You got the dry Oloroso influence. We're getting very dark chocolate, bitter, like 80-90% dark chocolate there. We're getting very slight bitter notes, but we're getting some coffee mixed in with that dark chocolate. And boy, some cloves, nutmeg, ginger, spicy. Real coating on the mouth. And yeah, orange peel. I'd say more orange peel. Okay, development and the finish. Sláinte. We're going to have a long finish here. Getting more spice, some malt stuff coming through. Not tasting the bourbon as much as the sherry. If there is bourbon influence here, it's more sherry. There's a little bit of a bite there, and it's definitely distinguishing from the alcohol. The bite could be a bit more of that sherry influence and the wood. Now, my understanding is this is 8-10-year-old whiskey. That I think it was older in the early days. This goes back to '68, so probably back in '68 it was probably at least a 10, but today it's more like 8 and 10. So long finish. Quite a barrage of notes I was tasting there. I was even getting a bit of mace. Not that I taste mace, but let's throw a few drops of water in this. Let's see what happens. And 105 is a very popular drink in the Glenfarclas line. I know lots of people that buy it, they like it. It's always been I always looked at it as the alternative to an Abanad. If Abanad got too pricey, it seems that this whiskey was just a little bit better priced. And I just was more of an Abanad drinker. My son had bought it for me originally, and I think I just kind of followed the Aberlour line a little closer. But what got me into the Glenfarclas line, believe it or not, was the 17-year-old, which is not a heavy hitter. It's only 43%. And then the 15, I think was one of my favorites, was the 15. And I had one of the early 15s, and it's 46. I've only drank the 105 in bars and with friends, so I've never really purchased a bottle, which is, I'm ashamed to say that I go to a distillery and they give me an opportunity at 105. It was actually, I enjoyed it, because I don't normally drink the 105s, so. Ooh, nice. That's Glenfarclas all the way. Rich, very rich. Did that open it up? So we're getting very strong floral notes there. Wow. So I've lost the varnish. I've got a flower garden going on here. And a little alcohol going up my nose. So you've got the fruits, and it brightened up the fruits a bit. There's some, I'd say it's balanced out between the peaches. Definitely got a lot of orange peel going on here. Very zesty. So let's go for the palate. Sláinte with water. Right off the bat, chocolate and orange. Chocolate and orange peel rinds. And still a dark chocolate. The tobacco's disappeared. But we got the dates and the figs still. And we're back to apricots again. Boy, what a coating on my mouth. This is, when I mention it's a long finish, even with water, My mouth has been coated the whole time I've been talking to you. You know, of the three that we are doing tonight, this one does stand out, and certainly it deserves some attention. I mean, it's had good reviews through the years. There's always its critics that it's not what it used to be. We're going to see that with just about every whiskey. But overall, this is a good presentation from Glenfarclas. Now, having toured the distillery, got a chance to talk to some of the staff, and you know, some of the staff say the 15 is their favorite. Some like the 21. Some like the 105. The 17 is more of a North American thing. So the 15 is more popular over there. The 21 is popular. And the 105 is popular. But overall, this would definitely be up in the, you know, 84, 85, 85-ish. It would squeak above the 12 for sure. I like it. I really like this stuff. I don't know why I don't buy a bottle, but because a lot of times it's you know, cask strength. I've got a lot of cask strength here, so sometimes I just want a mellow drink, but I can always add water, can't I? So, but this is about as far as we're going to get tonight, and I'm going to ask you to drink wisely, drink intelligently, and do not drink and drive until the next time. Sláinte.